Good evening. Tonight I have the pleasure of introducing you to my friend Jason Meyer. We met through YouTube, right?
Yes, YouTube. I contacted you after watching your videos.
You saw a video where I mentioned that I grew up in the West Bend area.
Yeah.
And you knew that was close by. So.
And I was looking for people to connect to that were ExJWs in the Milwaukee area where I'm from.
And I think did you put your phone number up there?
I gave you my phone number.
Yeah, and then I called you, or
Yeah.
I texted you. And we got together, and we've gotten together a bunch of times.
I'm glad I did, too.
Yeah, definitely. So I thought this would be a good opportunity for me to introduce you to Jason and let him tell you his story. How did you become one of Jehovah's Witnesses?
Well, I was forced into it, as a lot of JWs are. As a young person, my parents were indoctrinated, and they raised us as JWs, and forced me to get baptized unofficially. Of course, it was my decision, but right. get in there, and they made me get baptized.
They have their ways.
Yes, they have their very persuasive ways,
yeah.
Repetitious, persuasive ways of getting you to do that. So that's what happened to me.
Now, were you born into it, or did they convert while you were young?
They converted while I was young. I remember seeing a baby picture of me with a Santa Claus hat on.
Okay.
I think that picture's been destroyed, so there's no evidence of having been pagan. But yeah, I think pretty much as far back as I can remember, I was going to the Kingdom Halls. So
okay.
Yeah, I would say that I was brought up in the truth.
Right. And then what age were you baptized?
Baptized at 13.
Okay. So you were baptized 3 years younger than I was. And when I got baptized, I was a true believer. Where were you at mentally? Like, how did you feel about getting baptized?
I don't think a 13-year-old could be really a true believer. I mean, I did what my parents wanted me to do, but I didn't really want to get baptized because I didn't feel like it was my thing, and I just wasn't into it. I didn't really want to do it, but I was persuaded to do it. So at the Circuit Assembly in Janesville, Wisconsin, I was baptized in that big room with the window. Everybody can see you.
Like a fishbowl, yeah.
Yes, like a fishbowl. And I swam in the water, and they dunked me in, and I was pronounced baptized. And I remember when I came out, my dad came up to me, and he was like, "Oh, I'm so proud of you." And he came to give me a big hug, and I was pissed at him for making me do this. So he ran up to me real quick to hug me, and he grabbed me, and I just went, "Ugh." And he hugged me like this, with his arms around me, and somebody snapped a photo. And he was really pissed after that because he said he was embarrassed that I didn't reciprocate with the hug. And I said, "Oh, Dad, you were just so fast. You just came and grabbed me, and I didn't get a chance to extend my arms out. So that's why I ended up like this. But it definitely wasn't because I had any resentment towards you."
Right.
But so he didn't buy that, but he's like, "All right." So yeah, I didn't really want to do it until I was about 17, and I started thinking for myself as a teenager. I wanted to know about my family, about my beliefs, and what they really were, and if I really agreed with them. So I started to read the Bible from Genesis to Revelation, and in about 2 years I got through the whole Bible. And I read the whole thing for myself, and I had a lot of questions for the elders. I had a lot of questions for a lot of people. I wrote the society about questions that I couldn't find in articles.
Really?
When they basically told me, look in the articles.
Of course, yeah.
So I asked a lot of questions to a lot of elders, and I didn't get very good answers. But I still tried to be a good JW and to party on and, get through this and do the right thing and proselytize and, witness to people. And
do you mind if I ask if you can remember any of those questions? Do you remember any of the letters that you sent?
I think I vaguely remember one big thing was about Lot. No, not Lot. Who the hell was that? The guy who
It might have been Lot. That was a pretty
took
weird
in
story.
the two angels, and all the homosexuals in Sodom and Gomorrah wanted the two men to come out so that they could have their way with them. And he's like, no, but
Take my
you
daughters.
can rape and kill my daughters if you want.
Right, that was Lot.
And his daughters were like, yeah, rape and kill us instead of these two strangers we don't know. We're fine with that. And that just never seemed right to me.
Right.
It's like, that's not cool, and I'm not really sure if his daughters were going along with that. But
Yeah, exactly.
I guess their thing on that was that it was a custom for them to protect their guests.
Right.
Which I don't really
That's the
buy
Watchtower line.
either. But, and then there was another scripture about someone's concubine getting taken by a bunch of men, and they had their way with her all night, and they left her dead body on his doorstep.
Yeah, I
and
remember
he cut
that
her
too.
into 12 pieces and sent her
Right.
out. And I never really understood what that was about, but it just seemed like it was very, very hostile towards women. And there were a couple of
Absolutely.
things that I just didn't like. And I asked them about that, and nobody really had an answer.
So you were having issues that were more related to questioning the Bible as opposed to just oddities about Jehovah's Witness doctrine.
Yes, I didn't have any problem with Jehovah's Witness doctrine. I thought it was true. I thought it sounded good. There were a couple things that I didn't quite agree with, but they weren't a big deal. Like the Trinity, I thought, the Trinity sounds just as crazy as not believing in a Trinity. Why can't God be a Trinity? He's God. He's like magical. He only has petty human emotions and he can't lie. It's the only thing he can't do. So why can't he be three things and not be three things and mystically change from one to the other?
Sure, why not?
It seems plausible. We don't really know a lot about what a spirit person is. So I thought, well, that's kind of stupid to make a big deal about that.
That's interesting.
I also thought the cross was like, what's the big deal? He was tortured. Does it matter if he was like this or like this?
I think that Jehovah's Witnesses, to most Jehovah's Witnesses, those two things are huge. We reject the Trinity. We reject the cross.
Yeah.
This proves that we're right and everyone else is wrong. So
Yeah.
I find that fascinating that you, at such a young age, were already, that wasn't resonating with you. There was something about that siege mentality, that us versus them thinking, that wasn't connecting with you in ways that it does for most Jehovah's Witnesses.
And I didn't think, accurate knowledge was too accurate either, because how accurate can we be? The Bible was written by several different men over a period of a long period. I don't know how long, but a long period. And it was all put together, and someone decided to put all this together and make it into a Bible, and it's been translated how many times? How accurate can we really be? How do we really know that what's in there is true? And who can read Greek and Hebrew and translate the Dead Sea Scrolls and know that, some things correlate and some things don't? We can only take the word off of people that are above us and tell us that this is what it is. So I wasn't really sure if it was really accurate. But I thought, whatever, we do good things. We're serving Jehovah God, so I'll go with it. So I just started reading the Bible and researching things I didn't understand, but wasn't enough to make me doubt or leave or anything.
Okay, so you accepted that the organization had the truth. You didn't buy into the black and white thinking maybe as much as the average Jehovah's Witness, but the Bible itself aspects of it started to not make sense. What do you think was like the turning point for you, where you realized how bad or how strong your doubts were?
I was a regular pioneer, ministerial servant at the Union Grove congregation, and I came to a door. I had to get my time in, and I didn't have enough time, so I had to hit the road, and there wasn't anybody else to go out with me. So I went out myself, and I started knocking on doors, and I came to a door. And a guy came to the door, and he was very... he wasn't the typical response, like he was trying to trip me up or he was trying to prove me wrong or tell me what I believe or anything. He just was like, why are you doing this? Why are you getting something out of this? What you get a free computer after all this? Like, no. I'm just doing this out of my own heart because I think this is the right thing to do. He's like, really? Why do you think it's the right thing to do? And I'm like, huh? And I was thinking, what does the Reasoning from the Scriptures book have to say about that? I don't think that question's in there. So I didn't know what to say. So I was just trying to make shit up and just, well, it's serving God and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, Jehovah's Witnesses are ready for a fight. They want a confrontation because then they have a rote answer. They're not ready for Socratic questioning, just getting inside your head.
So he's like, why are you doing this? Well, because, it's God's will and everything. I was like, why do you even believe that there's a God? Mm. I'm like, I don't know. That's true. No one's ever asked me that before. I don't really know if I even do believe in a God. And I was thinking this. And I gave the guy some bullshit answer and I left. But I was thinking, I got to go back because I got to change that guy. He took literature. I got to go back.
Of course.
So, but I asked this one sister that was a pioneer sister, and she was really good at that stuff. And I'm like, you got to go back with me because I don't know what to say to this guy. So she goes back with me, and she finds some way around his questioning. And I think she gave him a Daniel book or something. So, after that, I never went back. But his questions to me just stuck in my head. Like, why am I doing this? Why do I even think that there's a God? I never asked these fundamental questions before.
Right.
And so I started asking myself, why do I believe this? I'm like, I don't know if I do believe it. So a couple months after that, it's bothering me so much that I go to an elder that was a good friend of mine. And I told him what happened. I said, I'm having some doubts. I'm having some questions about the existence of God. And he wanted to work with me on it. And we had a few talks. And I'm like, I'm not buying it. I mean, I'm not sure if I believe in a God. So it was the night before I was supposed to give my first 15-minute part in the Theocratic Ministry School, where I had a meeting with him and another elder, and I said, I'm having some depression. I didn't know it was depression at the time, but I just said, I don't have feelings for anybody. This is all a lie. My whole life is a lie.
Wow.
I mean, I don't care about you. I don't care about him. I don't care about anybody in this congregation. I just don't care.
Classic depression symptoms.
Yeah. And he was sitting there like... And the guy behind him who was an ex-Bethelite elder, and he's just like, I'm looking at him in the back, and he's just acting like this is, yeah, this happens. Yeah, you're going to be out of here pretty soon.
Wow.
And I couldn't believe his response. I'm like, I'm in good standing with the congregation. I've never done anything wrong, never been disfellowshipped. Why are you acting like...
And what was your position at the time?
I was a ministerial servant. I was working my way up to an elder. They were telling me that they wanted me to be an elder.
Grooming.
So, and I couldn't believe his response. I'm like, to you, this is like a normal thing. So anyway, they obviously took me off of privileges, and everybody kind of knew what was going on. And I quit pioneering.
Which was nothing, just doubts.
Yeah, just doubts. So I quit pioneering, and I said I want to spend time that I would normally spend pioneering on my own spirituality, and I want to try to get myself back into believing in God, back into this. I want to get these doubts out of my head. I want to prove to myself that there's a God. This is a one true religion, blah, blah, blah. So I did that for several months. And the more I researched, the more I kind of felt like this isn't real. There's no God out there. So what's the point of me going on in this religion? And
at what point, at this point, what were you researching?
I was just, I was looking at scriptures in different Bibles.
Okay.
James Moffat, I think, was my favorite one. And I was just looking at the existence of God, the perspective from books that were not JW books from the library. And I wasn't really big on the internet at that time, so I didn't look at any websites, but just looking at a lot of different perspectives and trying to get myself to believe that there's a God. And the more I looked into it, the more I thought it was silly, and that there isn't a God. And, well, if there isn't a God, then why am I a part of such a high-control religion? Why am I doing all this stuff if that's not what I believe?
Right.
And I'd always had a hunch that I believed in evolution, but I never really read about it enough to know what it was about. So...
Before, when we were talking about it, you said that you actually had a fear of looking at evolution.
Yeah,
and that's how it was for me, too.
Yeah.
My first doubt was evolution, and it was just like this intuitive thing where it's like, this is probably true. I can't look at this.
Yeah.
So I can relate.
Yeah. And I remember one time in high school, my biology teacher, I absolutely loved, because I loved biology. She didn't realize, she was talking about this skeleton figure, one of those skeleton things hanging on a rack.
Yep.
She had one in her classroom, and she had just made the realization that the thumb had 2 bones, and that also the big toe had 2 bones. So she's like, oh, just like a thumb. And I'm like, that's an evolution comment. And I was so just, and I was like, yeah, but you're right, it is just like a thumb. But I was so upset that she had said that.
How dare you?
Yeah. But, I kind of thought that I would really get into evolution. And I had evolutionary thoughts ever since I could remember. Like, I collect fish, and when I was younger, some of my fish has some turquoise streaks across its face. And one sister came over, oh, it's a nice little fish. And she said, isn't it beautiful how Jehovah made the streaks on his face? And I said, well, I don't think Jehovah made the streaks on his face. I think he made the fish, which through, I don't know,
long process of adaptation
and long process eventually developed a streak on his face that stuck. But I don't think Jehovah made the streak on his face. I don't think it happened like that. I didn't even know that I was describing evolution. I was, the only thing I knew about evolution was that evolutionists believe that a monkey gave birth to a human one day, and that's how we came about. And that's ridiculous, because that's never been documented to happen. So that's ridiculous, yes, and that's all I wanted to know about evolution.
Right. That model of evolution is ridiculous. Thankfully, that's not at all what evolution is.
No, it's not. It's not. It's basically telling you what we observe. It's just writing down observations.
Yeah. And
making connections. And
slow changes over time.
I was amazed when I started reading Origin of Species how truthful the book was, how much it made sense, and how he would bring out the flaws in his theories and discuss them. And he would either say, this is why I think there's a flaw, or I'm not sure why there's a flaw. Maybe I'll find out one day. It was so refreshingly truthful. And I thought that's the opposite of dogma. Now, people like to talk about Darwin and evolutionary biology in dogmatic terms, like they're committed to this belief system, but it's not like that. I mean, the reality is the scientists are all trying to prove each other wrong, and that's why science works, is because they come to consensus when they have to, because they've been forced to it, because they've tried to prove something wrong, and it can't be proven wrong because it's true. Mm-hmm. But there's always that willingness to be proven wrong. Yeah.
So now you were reading Origin of the Species. This was during the time when you were having your doubts, or that's after you left?
That's after I left.
Okay, so let's back up a little bit. Finish the story leading up to you leaving. So you were trying to figure out if you believed in God. Did they give you any help during that time?
I was forced to move because I was living with an unbaptized publisher and a baptized brother that was very, very, very into the religion. He was kind of a nut job. You call him a nut job. He was very, very fundamentalist into the religion.
Sure.
He hears a song on the radio where they say a bad word. I'm not going to listen to anything from that band ever again. I mean, he was really intense. He volunteered at Bethel, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, I believe that he convinced the other unbaptized publisher to agree to kick me out of the living situation that we were in.
Because
we're all living because of having doubts.
Because of having doubts.
We were in an apartment, 3-bedroom apartment, and they said we want to end the living situation. So they kicked me out, and then I heard that they got another brother to replace me. So I moved to Milwaukee, where I had some JW friends that were not as strict as your typical JWs were. They wanted to help me.
Okay.
They were a pioneer couple, and they had tried to help me. And eventually I just knew this wasn't for me. I just knew that I'm living a lie, and I can't go on living a lie.
And were the elders trying to do anything at this time?
Yeah, I was going to a congregation in Milwaukee, and an elder came and tried to study with me. And after like 2 studies, it was obvious that this isn't going to do anything because I know all the dogma. I know
Right. He's
the
going
questions.
right.
Yeah, I think we were studying the knowledge book. And I was like, why are we doing this? I know all the answers. I don't feel all the answers, but I know what to say. And all the stuff that we study, I just question. What about this? What about that? Well, you need to study that. You need to study this. I'm like, yeah, that's what I'm having problems with. I don't really agree with this. I don't agree with that. I don't know how you can say this and this about God when maybe he doesn't exist. And things would just come up all the time. And eventually he just told me, well, Jason, you're gonna have to make a decision. And I didn't understand what he meant by that. But then the next week when he didn't show up for a study, I called him and he said, well, I'm not going to study with you anymore. You have to do the rest on your own. And I was mad at him for making me make that decision. But now I'm glad that he did because I made the decision to leave. I started coming to the Kingdom Hall in shorts. I grew my hair out. I just sat in the back waiting for something to happen. And after a while, I thought, this is stupid. I mean, I know I'm going to lose my family and friends, but I'm not going to sit here and live a lie. I mean, I was depressed. I was very depressed. I remember one time my sister, who was a fellowship at the time, came to visit me from Racine, and I was in South Milwaukee area, and she was going to meet me at the Kingdom Hall. And I was feeling very depressed about everything. And she had come to my apartment, and then she was going to follow me to the Kingdom Hall. So this was at night, 7 o'clock. It was dark already. Must have been winter. It was dark already. Anyway, I lose her on the way to the Kingdom Hall because she stopped at a gas station to pee. And I didn't realize that she did it. So I got to the Kingdom Hall. I'm like, where is she? And she had no idea how to get around Milwaukee. So I'm like, great. I lost my sister in Milwaukee. I don't know where she is. Didn't have a cell phone at the time. And I was freaking out because I'm like, what's going to happen to her? She's lost. She doesn't know where she is, and I can't find her, and I can't contact her. So I went back home thinking maybe she backtracked and went home, went to my apartment. And she didn't call me from the Kingdom Hall or anything, but apparently she had found it.
Okay.
And I never showed up, so she just stayed for the meeting and then left. And I went back home, and I was feeling so bad that I had lost my sister. I was having problems with my faith. My whole world was going upside down. I decided to take a bottle of vodka and a big thing of ExJW, and I slammed 50 pills of ExJW down my throat and swallowed it with the vodka. And I thought, this will be a good way to die. So I did that. And then I woke up in the middle of the night puking. Yeah. And after about 3 hours, I realized I wasn't going to stop puking. So I called someone from the hall that I had known. And I hadn't been dissociated or disfellowshipped at this time, but I called somebody that I had known, and they came and got me and took me to the hospital. And I was all right. They kept me there for a day. But after I got back, I just started thinking, I got to make a decision. I got to do something. So after a while, I decided to take the jump and to just leave. So I called the elder and I said, look, I think at this point I was at the point where I just don't care. I thought, if I'm going to kill myself over this,
right,
I might as well do something crazy and just jump into the world and see what happens. Instead of just killing myself right now, let's just go crazy and go into the world and just see what happens. So that's what I did. I called the elder, and at this point I didn't really care. I was just like, yeah, I don't think this is for me. Yeah, I tried, but it's not for me. And I was just so nonchalant about it. He was just like, what? He was very confused, and he's like, well, I'm going to need a little more confirmation than that. I'm like, oh, you want something like in writing with my signature at the end? Yeah, you could do that. Oh, sure, I'll get that right out to you. So I ended that conversation. I wrote my disassociation letter, mailed it to him, and apparently they had sent a copy to my home congregation, Racine. And my dad, who was the presiding overseer, I believe, at the time, he got the letter, and he held on to it for 2 weeks. He didn't tell the other elders about it. And then he came to see me, and he's like, I found your letter. They mailed it to us. I haven't told any other brothers about it.
So they didn't announce it at his congregation?
Not yet.
And was that your congregation?
That was my...
Because you had moved?
Yeah, I had moved 3 times.
Right.
So this was my childhood congregation.
Gotcha.
So my dad was going to make the announcement the following week. And he said he just tried to convince me not to do it. And I said, well, Dad, it's done. It's not working for me. And I think in his mind he thought I was just going through a phase that I would come back.
Of course, that's what they all think.
But never did. I'm glad I didn't. And I've been doing a lot better since then. So...
Looking back on how that all played out, with the depression and the suicide attempt, which I didn't know about.
Yeah, I didn't.
And
I haven't told many people about that.
It's not funny. I don't know why we're laughing.
I think it's funny now.
But looking back on how that all came together at the end, I mean, it just sounds to me like your body knew something that maybe your mind didn't know yet. Like, that it was worth taking this leap and losing everything.
Yeah.
To get away from this feeling that I had being in this thing that was so controlling, while at the same time I didn't believe it. Why am I submitting myself to this kind of control when I don't even believe this?
Well, I felt like, if I'm going to die, I might as well just go in style. Try to do something fun that I've always wanted to do. I don't know. Maybe I'll get a girlfriend or something crazy like that.
Right. Maybe I can live a little bit of a life for a while.
Yeah. Maybe I can live a fun life before Satan swallows me up. Either way, I don't believe in Satan. I don't believe in God.
But there's still a part of you that has a little bit of that fear. Even though you've never connected really with the idea of a God, and so the idea of a devil is absurd. You've still been told your whole life that that's Satan's world, and that Armageddon's coming. So there's a part of you that still has that layer of fear.
These things I do are bad things.
Right.
There is no God. There is no Satan. But I'm still afraid to fornicate because it's wrong.
Right.
And, so I thought, I'll just go out and live my life. If I'm thinking about ending it right now, I might as well do something before that happens. Yeah. So I thought, it doesn't matter. Even if the witnesses are right, if they're wrong, if there is a God, if there isn't a God, this isn't for me.
Yep.
It's not working. It's not going to work.
Obviously.
And things are not going to get better.
Yeah.
They're not going to change. They are the way they are. And I got to go and live my life because I don't believe that I'm going to live forever in paradise earth. I don't believe that there's an afterlife. I think that this is the only thing there is to life. And life is too short to go through some crazy religion that controls every part of your life.
Yeah. So I guess I know what your answer is, but any regrets?
No, I don't. I guess I regret that I didn't do it sooner.
I can relate to that.
I guess that would be the only regret, but I learned from the things that happened. I wish I had done it sooner. I wish I had gone back to school sooner. And I wish that I was never associated with this religion.
Which isn't something you could control, unfortunately.
No, but I am lucky and glad that I woke up as young as I did.
Now, what age were you when you disassociated?
25 when I wrote the letter.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then how long after that before you would say that you were fully awake? I mean, at this point you had read some stuff that wasn't from the Watchtower, but it wasn't anti-witness either.
No, it wasn't. No, it was just stuff from other religions about God.
Okay. So that was kind of their apologetics.
Yeah, I would say a year after I left, I was very lonely, very poor and broke. The only job I could get was cleaning, which is the only thing I knew how to do.
Right, of course.
And so I went on the internet and I thought that I would go and visit some. The only thing I really knew anything about was Jehovah's Witnesses, so I thought I'll go visit some anti-JW sites just for shits and giggles, just to see what they have to say.
Sure.
I bet it's just full of angry people that say lies about them. But the more I looked at these sites, the more interesting they got to me, and the more I realized that this was a crazy cult religion that I'm really glad that I left. So I reached out and I tried to contact somebody.
Like, not only is the Bible not true, but they've added
Right.
all these extra layers
Right.
of things that are not true.
Right. So it was a double whammy for me. I thought, wow, this is really crazy. I'd like to talk to somebody more about it. So I went on meetup.com, and I met somebody on meetup.com, and I had a couple of meetings that he had in Milwaukee, and then that kind of dissipated, I think.
What kind of meeting?
Meetup meetings, meetup.com. There's an ExJW meetup in Milwaukee.
Oh,
a long
ExJW
time ago.
meetup. Okay.
And I went to a couple of those, and I met some people, and then that kind of dissipated. And then I didn't really do anything for it for a while. I was just concentrating on school. And then I saw your video, so I thought I'd like to get back into it and be a little proactive and stuff about it. And
So with that in mind, is there any advice that you would have for any, Jehovah's Witnesses that might be watching this?
I would say that if you're having doubts, you should explore your doubts. If you want to make the truth your own, then make it your own by exploring your doubts and getting rid of them. And if you can't get rid of them, maybe there's a reason you're not getting rid of them. Also, my beliefs is that there is no afterlife, that there is no other life other than what you're living now. And you don't know if that's true or not. But if it is true, then this is your only life. So go and live your life. Don't get caught up in some religion that's telling you what to do, what not to do. Go and get a degree. Go and live a good life. Start a family if you're into that. And live for you. I mean, I'm not saying to trample over anyone else, but following the golden rule of treating others the way you want to be treated. Go out in life and do your own thing and live your own life. Because life is just way too short to be a part of a high control group like this.
Wow, well said. Do you mind offering your contact information if anybody wanted to talk with you?
Email. Yeah.
Okay.
Email mayerjd@msoe.com.edu. I'm sorry.
Okay, I'll put it up on the screen so I can make sure they get it right.
Yeah, anybody that's in the Milwaukee area that wants to contact me, having doubts, somebody that just wants to talk, you're not sure if you want to get baptized, you need somebody to talk to, I promise I will not be fundamental about it. I'm not going to try to convince you to leave. I'm not going to tell you that they're the devil. But if you want to hear a balanced viewpoint of that religion, whether you just want to talk to somebody on whether or not you should get baptized, I'm willing to talk to you. I'm not gonna bash you with my beliefs, but I'm out there if you need it.
Appreciate it. What have you been doing with your life lately?
Actually, for the last 13 years, I've been out for about 13 years. I started going to school. I decided to go in the nursing program, and for various reasons, life happens. I found out I have attention deficit, so it's hard for me to get through school. But in the last 13 years, I've been picking at a degree, and I've been trying to accomplish that and to just move on and go on with my life the best that I can. I want to go into a field that helps people for real instead of just spiritually. So I'm doing something that I believe in and working part-time and trying to make my way through life and finish the things that I should have done when I was younger.
Yeah, better late than never.
Yeah, that's true. I'm 37 right now. I have another 2 years to go before I graduate, and I'm looking forward to graduating and moving on with my life. I should have gotten this degree when I was a lot younger, but I'm doing it now. I'm still getting it done. So,
well, you're an inspiration.
All right.
And thank you for doing the interview.
Thank you.
And thank you all for watching. Again, you have Jason's contact information. You have my contact information. And if anybody watching this would like to be interviewed on the channel, share your story, please send me an email and let me know. Thanks for watching. of all the time to draw a blank.
That's all, folks.